The 10 best quarterbacks in the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steel Curtain ranks the all-time best quarterbacks to wear the black and gold. The Pittsburgh Steelers are a storied NFL franchise that dates all the way back to 1933. Their longevity as a professional football program has helped them produce Hall of Fame talent at the quarterback position, and two of these iconic quarterbacks helped the team to a combined 6 Super Bowl wins. Today's game is a quarterback-driven league, but the rules haven't always been in place to protect passers. The way defenses were allowed to play often resulted in more inconsistent performances and shorter careers for players at the game's most important position. When looking at the history of Steelers quarterbacks, the top 2 names are easy to rank. But the list quickly thins out. Criteria for selection. When it comes to ranking the greatest quarterbacks in Steelers history, much of this comes down to debate. So what makes one quarterback better than another? I have taken into account numerous factors when comprising my rankings of the best quarterbacks in Steelers history. One of these is statistical production. I compared stats such as passer rating, passing touchdowns, interceptions, and yards per attempt to help dictate my rankings. I also judged each quarterback's impact on the team according to the talent they were surrounded by and what they were asked to do for the team. I also considered the difference in eras when it comes to rules that impact statistical output at the QB position. Additionally, I took into account longevity and consistency when formulating my quarterback rankings. To qualify, each of these quarterbacks needed to play a minimum of 3 seasons with the team while recording at least 250 pass attempts during their time in Pittsburgh. The final and arguably the most important factor is the level of success each quarterback helped their team achieve. A blend of all these factors were considered in ranking the 10 best quarterbacks in Pittsburgh Steelers history. The top 10 quarterbacks in Pittsburgh Steelers history. 10. Mark Malone. The list is going to start a little rocky before we get to some Steelers legends. Mark Malone was the Pittsburgh Steelers' first-round pick in 1980 and was drafted to eventually take over for an aging Terry Bradshaw. Unfortunately, his career got off to a slow start, and he never lived up to lofty expectations. Malone sat behind Bradshaw for 4 years before earning the job as a full-time starter. During his 7-year career with the Steelers, Malone threw 54 touchdowns and 68 interceptions en route to a 21-24 career record in Pittsburgh. Statistically, his best season as a starter came in 1985 when he threw for 13 touchdowns and 7 interceptions in just 10 games. 9. Mike Tomczak. Mike Tomczak and Mark Malone had NFL careers that overlapped in the mid to late '80s, but Tomczak didn't join the Steelers until the age of 31 in 1993. With 8 seasons as a professional already under his belt, he showed veteran leadership and poise to aid the Steelers to a record of 13-12 as a starter. Tomczak started 15 of 16 games in 1996 and led the Steelers to an 8-5 record. One of his most memorable games came in Week 5 of 1996, when he passed for 338 yards while averaging 10.5 yards per attempt in a win over the Kansas City Chiefs. In 1997, a young Kordell Stewart would claim his starting job. Following the 1999 season, Tomczak retired at age 37. He finished his NFL career with a respectable record of 42-31 as a starting quarterback. 8. Charlie Batch. Charlie Batch began his NFL career as a starting quarterback for the Detroit Lions. After his rookie contract, he served as a longtime backup QB for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Batch saw the field in 8 different seasons in Pittsburgh, all but one came as the backup to Ben Roethlisberger. When Big Ben went down, Batch was often called upon to lead the charge. The savvy veteran proved he was well prepared to step into the game at a moment's notice. This led to a 6-3 record as a starting quarterback, though he lined up at QB for the Steelers in 33 total regular season games. Batch's 1-to-1 touchdown-to-interception ratio isn't impressive, but he did more than enough to keep the season afloat when Roethlisberger missed time. 7. Bubby Brister. Born Walter Andrew Brister III, the former NFL quarterback was known as Bubby Brister. In 1986, Pittsburgh selected Brister in the third round of the NFL draft. He would go on to sit for 2 seasons behind Mark Malone before taking over the starting job in 1988. Brister had a 14-year NFL career, the first half of which came as a member of the Steelers. During his 7 years in Pittsburgh, Brister led his team to a 28-29 record with 51 touchdowns and 57 interceptions. Though his statistics weren't impressive, Brister wasn't surrounded by talent, and he was able to get the Steelers through a rough patch in the late 80s and early 90s. He finished his Steelers career with 10,104 passing yards. 6. Tommy Maddox. Tommy Maddox has one of the most interesting comeback stories you will ever see in the NFL. After serving as a reserve QB for the Broncos, Rams, and Giants from 1992 to 1995, Maddox became an insurance agent. 5 years later, Maddox pursued a professional comeback with the AFL and XFL before signing with the Steelers in 2001. The following season, Maddox earned the job as Pittsburgh's starting quarterback after recording just 4 NFL starts by age 30. He miraculously led the Steelers to a 7-3-1 record while throwing 20 touchdown passes in just 11 starts in 2002. In the postseason that year, he helped his team make it to the divisional round while scoring 67 points in 2 playoff games. Maddox's brief stint wasn't meant to last, and the Steelers drafted Ben Roethlisberger in the first round of the 2004 NFL Draft following a 6-10 season in 2003. The 2002 Comeback Player of the Year finished his Steelers career with a record of 15-16-1, but his phenomenal 0-2 season in Pittsburgh will forever be remembered. 5. Bobby Lane. Long before joining the Pittsburgh Steelers, Bobby Lane had already established himself as an all-pro quarterback with the Detroit Lions. Though his professional career began in 1948, he didn't come to the Steel City until 1958, when he earned Pro Bowl honors at 32 years old and averaged 8.7 yards per attempt. During his 5-year Steelers career, Lane recorded 66 touchdowns and 81 interceptions while completing 49.2% of his passes. These would all be poor numbers for today's NFL, but it's important to remember how different the passing game looked back then. Lane was one of the best players of his generation, earning an 80-48-4 career record at quarterback. However, the Hall of Fame quarterback built his legacy in Detroit. With the Steelers, he earned a record of 27-19-2. 4. Kordell Stewart. Kordell Stewart, a 1995 second-round pick, was forced to exercise patience early in his career before winning the starting job in his 3rd season. He took the NFL world by storm with his ability to move the chains with his legs and keep his team in games. While some would argue that Stewart was carried by a strong defense, particularly in the early 2000s, he did his part to keep the Steelers competitive. Statistically, he wasn't impressive as a passer with 70 touchdown passes, compared to 72 interceptions to go with a 72.3 passer rating in Pittsburgh. However, his rushing ability greatly aided the offense. Stewart earned Pro Bowl honors in 2001 and finished his Steelers career with an impressive 2,561 rushing yards and 35 rushing touchdowns. 3. Neil O'Donnell. For being considered among the best quarterbacks in Pittsburgh Steelers history, Neil O'Donnell didn't possess many traits that set him apart from the rest of the QBs in the league. However, O'Donnell proved to be pivotal in aiding the coaching transition from Chuck Noll to Bill Cowher in 1992. O'Donnell, a 1990 third-round pick, played for the Steelers from 1991 to 1995. As a rookie, he unseated Bubby Brister for the starting gig and never looked back. In his second season, O'Donnell led the Steelers to a 9-3 record in 12 starts while earning Pro Bowl honors. However, O'Donnell's biggest accomplishment was leading the Steelers to a Super Bowl appearance against the Dallas Cowboys following the 1995 season, a game Pittsburgh ultimately lost 27-17. O'Donnell finished his Steelers career with a 39-22 record in the regular season. 2. Terry Bradshaw. It's easy to figure out which quarterbacks claim the top 2 spots on the list of greatest QBs in Steelers history, though there has been much debate as to which player deserves the top spot. I have Terry Bradshaw coming in second. Bradshaw earned Hall of Fame honors for his outstanding run in the 70s, which included 4 Super Bowl wins. While much of this came with the aid of the Steel Curtain defense, Bradshaw was a great player in his own right with an outstanding career record of 107-51, all of which came as a member of the Steelers. Bradshaw, the 1970 first overall pick, struggled as a rookie but turned things around by his third NFL season. He made his first Pro Bowl in 1975 and was dubbed NFL MVP following the 1978 season. He finished his Steelers career with 27,989 passing yards. 1. Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger earns the number 1 spot on my list of the greatest quarterbacks in Pittsburgh Steelers history. From career stats to longevity to postseason success, Big Ben had it all. Roethlisberger recorded a 13-0 record as a starting quarterback during his rookie season before leading his team to a Super Bowl win in his second season in 2005. From there, he brought home Pittsburgh's 6th Lombardi Trophy following the 2008 season, his second Super Bowl win, and led his team to a third Super Bowl appearance following the 2010 season. By the end of his career, Roethlisberger had crushed every Steelers passing record, throwing for 64,088 yards and 418 touchdowns. He earned a career record of 165-81-1 as a starting quarterback for Pittsburgh and played from age 22 in 2004 to age 39 in 2021. First call, Tampa set to sign Jake Gensel, Livy Dunn boosts Pirates merch, Brandon Aiyuk for sure wants to stay with 49ers. After trading to acquire his rights, it looks like the Tampa Bay Lightning will work out a deal with former Penguin Jake Gensel. Brandon Aiyuk claims that he wants to stay in San Francisco. A pair of second-year Steelers are getting their tires pumped at NFL.com. Livy Dunn is influencing Pirates t-shirt sales. Former Penguin Jake Gensel is signing with the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's according to a social media post from Frank Saravalli of the Daily Faceoff on Sunday night. Sources say #GoBolts have agreed to terms on a contract with Jake Gensel after a productive Sunday. Details have been hard to come by as Tampa has other moving parts, and info might not come out until tomorrow. Gensel's rights had been traded to Tampa Bay from Carolina earlier in the day. So, all indications were that Tampa was likely close to a deal with the former Pittsburgh Stanley Cup champion. The Athletic's Pierre LeBrun is expecting the announcement of a 7-year pact between the 29-year-old winger and the Lightning as soon as free agency opens Monday. After being traded from the Pens to Carolina last season, Gensel tallied 8 goals and 17 points in the regular season. Then he added 4 goals and 5 assists in 11 postseason games. For all the talk about Brandon Aiyuk perhaps leaving the 49ers, the wide receiver insists that he wants to stay in San Francisco. TMZ Sports ran into Aiyuk at Los Angeles International Airport over the weekend and asked him if he wants to be wearing a San Francisco 49ers uniform next year. BASO explained rolling up to 49ers HQ in a Pittsburgh Pirates hat and told fans to stay tuned regarding him signing a new deal. pic.twitter.com/DUXL8QHPTC. In recent days, Aiyuk has left a lot of people wondering if he may want to leave the Niners for Washington because of his frustration with contract negotiations in San Francisco. Aiyuk is close with Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels. The Steelers have long been rumored as a potential trade target as well if Aiyuk and the Niners can't come together on an extension beyond this year. That conversation picked up some steam Friday when Aiyuk posted a video of himself pulling into Levi's Stadium wearing a Pirates hat. But the 26-year-old told TMZ he was just wearing the hat because the Pirates sent him some gear after connecting on Instagram. Speaking of TMZ Sports, they caught up with the folks at Baseball Dugout LLC. That's the company that created the presidential ticket-esque Skeens Jones 24 black and gold t-shirts to capitalize on the success of Pirates pitchers Paul Skeens and Jared Jones. Well, Skeens' girlfriend, Instagram influencer Livy Dunn, posted herself wearing one of the shirts last week. And the company tells TMZ that ever since that happened, sales have gone up 1,400%. Sales of a Paul Skeens and Jared Jones themed t-shirt exploded after #Livy Dunn wore it earlier this month. Skeens pitched 6 innings on Saturday in Atlanta. He gave up 1 run in a no decision as he struck out 9 Braves before being pulled in what became a 2-1 loss. Jones is scheduled to pitch Wednesday against the St. Louis Cardinals at PNC Park. On Friday, NFL.com put together its 2024 NFL All-Breakout team on defense. The list is comprised of 11 defensive players poised to make noise in 2024. Players on it have yet to receive any All-Pro or Pro Bowl honors but are expected to garner consideration with their play in the coming campaign. Former NFL player and scout Bucky Brooks authored the post. 2 Steelers are on it. The first one is second-year defensive lineman Keanu Benton. As an energetic defender with a non-stop motor and active hands, Benton outworks and outlasts blockers to win battles on critical downs, Brooks said of Benton. Though it is easier to win when playing alongside TJ Watt, Cam Hayward and Alex Highsmith, Benton's disruptive talents could help the Steelers get back to playing championship-caliber football. The second-year pro is a dark horse contender for Pro Bowl honors in 2024 after thriving as the CB1 in Pittsburgh down the stretch last season. Porter's toughness, tenacity and tools make him a difficult matchup for pass catchers who lack the speed and physicality to escape his clutches at the line. Though he remains a work in progress on the island, Porter's alpha dog mentality and unshakable confidence could enable him to shine without a polished game, Brooks said. On Sunday, Garrett Cole had his 3rd start since returning from injury for the New York Yankees. It was his best one yet. Cole tossed 5 innings, allowing just 1 run and totaling 6 strikeouts en route to an 8-1 victory over the Toronto Blue Jays. The former Pirate allowed just 3 hits and 1 walk. His last time out against the New York Mets, Cole allowed 6 earned runs in just 4 innings, giving up 7 hits and 4 walks. The 2023 Cy Young Award winner got some help in Toronto from Aaron Judge. He blasted a 423-foot home run. That's Judge's league-leading 31st homer of the year. The Yankees, .628, are 0 games back and just percentage points behind the Baltimore Orioles, .631, for the American League East lead. Former Pittsburgh Steelers safety and current ESPN NFL analyst Ryan Clark was attempting to recruit San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk to the Pittsburgh Steelers when he had him on as a guest for his podcast, The Pivot. Aiyuk is currently in a contract dispute with the San Francisco 49ers. He discussed teams he could see himself in 2024 if he were to leave San Francisco. Aiyuk named Clark's former team the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Washington Commanders. After Aiyuk named the Steelers as a team he could see himself on, Clark, visibly excited about the potential for the Steelers, began pitching the team to the star wide receiver to pair himself with George Pickens. "They ain't got nobody but George Pickens, we got 2 new quarterbacks, we got a new offensive coordinator, I mean, you don't want to go to Washington anyway." Clark said, "In Pittsburgh, you'll be a god." Clark makes a great point that the Steelers have a completely revamped offense, and the offense could quickly revolve around Aiyuk. Pittsburgh is almost the opposite of the scenario Aiyuk sees himself in San Francisco, as they have so many stars that he cannot get the ball as much as he wants and be the leader he desires to be. Clark continued to hype up the young Steelers' offense during his pitches. If Brandon goes to Pittsburgh, you've got George Pickens, B.A., Wright, Najee Harris, and Jaylen Warren in the backfield, Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington, nothing but dogs up front.